You wake up, check your phone, no messages. Another day begins, quiet, ordinary, heavy. You smile at the mirror, but it doesn't answer back. No one's asking how you're doing. No one's coming to help. But what if this silence isn't punishment? What if it's training? Jung once wrote that every rebirth begins in dissolution. The Stoics agreed. Strength is born the moment you stop waiting to be rescued. You've walked through enough noise to know not everyone who walks away is your loss. Sometimes they're just clearing space for your awakening. Today we'll walk through 15 lessons to rise, not colder, not harder, but clearer. Because when the world leaves you alone, it isn't rejection, it's initiation. There are seasons when the world grows quiet. Friends drift, the phone stops ringing, and the house feels larger than it used to. You wake early, hoping for noise, but silence greets you instead. That silence is not rejection, it's initiation. Most people fear it. They rush to fill the gap with distractions, with voices that echo but never understand. But solitude isn't punishment. It's a workshop. It strips away borrowed chatter until only your real sound remains. Start where you are. Brew your coffee with care. Make your bed even when no one will see it. Walk the same block each dawn until the air feels familiar again. These quiet rituals are more than chores. They're declarations. I still choose to show up for my own life. I once knew a chef who lost his job and most of his circle in the same month. He could have gone numb. Instead, he sharpened one knife each morning, then cooked a meal for one as if the table were full. After 3 weeks, he said, "The silence stopped judging me. It started teaching me that's the shift, when emptiness becomes room." Most people break in silence, but some, they rebuild in it. If loneliness feels heavy, remember, that weight is your soul rebuilding muscle. Solitude doesn't demand coldness. It asks for clarity. It wants you to stay soft enough to feel, but strong enough not to crumble. You don't chase applause anymore. You build alignment. You stop asking the day to keep you company and start becoming good company for yourself. And here's the paradox. Once you find peace in your own presence, people return, not to rescue you, but because your steadiness feels safe. When the clatter returns, you'll smile, because you no longer need it to feel alive. Solitude didn't make you harder, it made you clear. Solitude is training, not a destination. Bring this clarity back to your people. If this hurts, you're not behind, you're being rebuilt. Now let's turn that clarity into calm you can carry anywhere. Loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the presence of yourself waiting to be met. Peace isn't luck, it's training. Most people wait for the world to calm down so they can feel okay again. But calm that depends on circumstance is a rental, and life raises the rent every day. The Stoics saw peace as a discipline, a practiced stillness built in the middle of chaos, not away from it. When someone cuts you off in traffic, disrespects you at work, or ignores your effort, your body tightens. That's your cue. The test isn't the trigger. It's what you do with the first 3 seconds after. A manager I once coached used to explode in meetings, words sharper than necessary, guilt later. We made a rule, water and 30 seconds. When anger rose, he'd lift his glass, take a sip, and count silently to 30. Then only one sentence, clear, measured, precise. 2 weeks later, his team said, "You sound calmer, but also stronger." That's what real composure feels like. Not suppression, but direction. Peace is a skill you can train. Try this. Before answering a tough email, write the reply you want to send, then delete it. Wait 1 minute, then write the reply you won't regret tomorrow. That gap is where emotional intelligence lives. One woman told me she started doing this at home with her teenage son. "It saved us," she said. "We argue less, not because he changed, but because I stopped joining every battle." Define peace as recovery speed, the time between reaction and response. Each time you shorten that gap, you grow stronger. Miss it? Fine, they reset. The mind strengthens the same way the body does. Repetition under pressure. The Stoics didn't meditate to escape life. They rehearsed how to meet it. Before your next hard day, pick a posture, shoulders down, breath low, voice calm. You can't always control the storm, but you can control the sailor. And when life gets loud again, it will, you'll realize peace was never about silence. It was about carrying your stillness wherever the noise follows. And the first place to carry it is into your words. Peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the steadiness that makes chaos irrelevant. Complaining feels like movement, but it's only static pretending to be progress. You talk, you vent, you repeat. Nothing moves but your heartbeat. The Stoics believe the mind either builds or breaks with each word it repeats. Every complaint you speak trains the brain to find more proof that you're powerless. Every silence you choose trains it to search for solutions instead. The next time frustration visits, change the script. Don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What can this strengthen?" That small shift rewires your entire psychology, from victim to builder. A father once told me his teenage daughter ignored him for days. "I try so hard," he said, "and she barely looks at me." I asked him, "What did you do after saying that sentence?" He laughed. "I complained to my wife for an hour." The next day, he tried something new. Instead of venting, he wrote her a one-line note. "Dinner's ready if you'd like to join." She came, not because the note was magic, but because his energy was. Each time you want to complain, take 90 seconds to name the pain, then 90 more to act. Wash a cup, write a paragraph, take a walk. Action converts emotion into motion. If you slip into old habits, reset. Progress forgives restarts. Complaint recycles it into static. Seneca had a rule: review the day each night, not as drama, but as data. Ask 3 things. What triggered me? What did I control? What will I do next time? That's how strong minds stay light, by draining resentment before sleep. Gratitude in this context isn't denial. It's strategy. You find one thing inside the hurt that still served you: clarity, boundaries, patience. Then the mind shrinks the wound to its right size. So retire complaint like an old habit that no longer fits. Speak less about what broke you. Speak more about what built you. Because every sentence is a vote for who you become next. Speak like the person you're becoming, not the one still hurting. Venting empties your lungs. Acting frees your mind. From here, the only witness you need is yourself. If this lifted some weight off you, tap like. It tells me to keep making these for you. There's a moment after effort when no one claps. You did the work, but silence greets you. A silence so deep it feels like exile. That's not failure. It's the sacred interval between becoming and being seen. Jung wrote that solitude reveals what applause once hid. When the crowd disappears, the truth steps forward. Were you working for eyes or for essence? The Stoics called this alignment, doing the right thing even when invisible. Because real growth is rarely witnessed in real time. It's slow, private, unglamorous. I once watched a sculptor spend weeks sanding the underside of a table no guest would ever touch. When I asked why, he smiled. Because I'll know. That's integrity. a silent signature no one can erase. Be your own audience. End each day with one question. Did I honor my standard? If yes, rest. If no, adjust. You don't need the world to notice. You just need to notice yourself. And when the urge for validation whispers again, remember this: the quiet that follows completion is an emptiness. It's proof that your worth no longer depends on applause. Keep building where no one looks. Keep writing the chapters no one reads yet. Because one day, the silence you feared will echo back as peace. The truest applause is the calm you feel when no one's watching. With that calm, you can rise faster than you fall. Before you sleep, write one sentence. Where did I honor my standard today? Falling isn't failure. Staying down is. People fall in work, in trust, in love. But the ones who rebuild don't wait for motivation. They rise before logic catches up. Pain wants you to pause forever. It whispers, you've lost your chance. But pain is a liar. The Stoics knew, if you move before excuses end, you take back control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't glorifying suffering, he was teaching leverage. Every obstacle holds the shape of your next strength. A friend once told me his business collapsed overnight. For a week he lay in bed, watching the ceiling, replaying mistakes. Then one morning he got up, shaved, dressed, and walked outside. Not to rebuild yet, just to move. He called it day zero. By month's end, he had a new plan. By year's end, he was unrecognizable. Not because fortune favored him, but because he stopped kneeling to defeat. Here's the secret. Recovery is a rhythm, not a miracle. Fall on Monday, reflect Tuesday, act Wednesday. That's it. No dramatic comeback, just repetition until momentum returns. Every fall offers a mirror. The question isn't why me, but what now? If you treat every mistake as tuition, you'll graduate faster than anyone still mourning their grades. Life doesn't punish you for failing. It punishes you for refusing to learn. So when you fall again, and you will, don't rebuild the same shape. Rebuild wiser. Add patience where pride once lived. Add humility where haste once ruled. One day you'll realize the ground you once feared is just another kind of teacher. The Stoics didn't rise by luck. They rose by rhythm, by the daily act of refusing to stay broken. Fall enough times and you stop fearing the ground. You start learning how to land softer. Soft landings build strong wings. Motivation is a guest. Discipline is the homeowner. If you wait for motivation, your life will stay in the waiting room. The Stoics acted not because they felt ready, but because they refused to surrender their will to their mood. Every morning gives you two voices. One whispers comfort, the other calls you forward. The day you start listening to the second voice, even when you don't want to, everything changes. A writer once told me, "I'm creative but not consistent." I said, "Then build a system that doesn't need your mood." So he wrote one page every morning, tired, inspired, or miserable. 30 days later, he had 30 pages. His friends still had 30 excuses. Action creates clarity. Motion generates energy. Waiting only feeds doubt. You don't need to feel ready to begin. Beginning is what makes you feel ready. Think of discipline as kindness to your future self. You're not punishing the present, you're protecting tomorrow. So set cues, not conditions. When the alarm rings, move. When the thought says later, answer now. I once met a soldier who said, "My secret is boring consistency." He didn't mean lifeless. He meant reliable. Even on bad days, I do the work badly, but I still do it. That's how empires of self-mastery are built, on unglamorous mornings. Pause here because this is the part most people skip, the boring miracle that changes everything. And sometimes humor helps. When laziness whispers, "You deserve a break," reply, "Then earn one." It's a playful rebellion, and it works. Discipline doesn't erase emotion, it outlives it. You'll still feel tired, unmotivated, uncertain, but you'll move anyway. And that movement, however small, becomes proof that you've already won the hardest battle, the one inside. If you miss a day, don't apologize. Resume. Discipline is remembering what you want more, long after you've forgotten how tired you feel. And to protect that discipline, you need clean lines. Most people confuse peace with people-pleasing. They think saying yes keeps things calm, but quiet resentment is just conflict with better manners. Boundaries aren't walls, they're maps. They don't push people away, they show them where respect lives. And the truth is, boundaries don't scare mature people, they attract them. Only the ones who benefit from your silence will call your clarity selfish. A friend once told me, "I'm tired of being everyone's helper." I said, "Then help yourself first." He hesitated. "They'll think I've changed." I smiled. "Good. You did." 2 months later, his relationships improved, not because others suddenly became kind, but because he started speaking from calm instead of exhaustion. That's the paradox. People trust you more when your no actually means no. Here's a practice. Before saying yes, pause for 2 breaths. If you feel tension in your chest, that's your intuition saying, "Don't betray yourself for harmony." Say it kindly but firmly. "That doesn't work for me." No essay, no guilt. Clarity is the most respectful form of love. Boundaries set with anger burn bridges. Boundaries set with truth build stronger ones. When you start living this way, something powerful happens. Your energy stops leaking. You stop performing kindness and start being kind. You stop rescuing people from the consequences that were meant to teach them. And suddenly, your life feels lighter. Not because everyone obeys your lines, but because you finally learned where you end and where peace begins. The moment you start protecting your peace, the right people start protecting it with you. Boundaries don't isolate, they make connection honest. Honest connection begins with you staying whole in love. What's one boundary you set this year that secretly saved your peace? I'll read the top comments tonight. Your story might help someone else breathe. Love isn't merging, it's meeting. Too many people disappear inside affection, thinking devotion means disappearance. But love without self becomes worship, and worship eventually breeds resentment. Jung said every relationship is a mirror. What you adore in someone reveals what you're ready to grow. What you resent reveals what you've denied in yourself. When you forget this, you start fighting reflections instead of reality. I once knew a woman who whispered, "He's my whole world." When he left, she said, "Now I have none." But the truth was gentler. She had mistaken orbiting for connection. Healing wasn't finding someone new. It was remembering her own gravity. The Stoics taught the same in another language. To love deeply, but hold lightly. Affection shouldn't mean possession. Care shouldn't cost clarity. Here's the quiet rule of mature love. Keep your heart open, but your center intact. Give fully, but never trade your voice for their comfort. Hold close, but never vanish. If love asks you to betray yourself, it's not love. It's fear wearing perfume. Real love doesn't trap. It witnesses. It allows both souls to unfold without demand. And the more whole you stay, the safer your presence becomes for others. So love gently without vanishing. Because the most beautiful we is built by 2 steady eyes. Don't lose yourself trying to prove love. The right love will meet you where you already stand. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes a superpower. Everyone's broadcasting progress. Few are actually progressing. We post, we prove, we perform, forgetting that the growth loves shadows more than spotlights. The Stoics mastered this paradox long before social media existed. They called it silent momentum, the art of moving with purpose when no one's watching. When you move quietly, people mistake it for stillness. That's fine. The oak doesn't explain its roots while it grows. A boxer doesn't brag mid-round. He lets the bell do the talking. I once mentored a young designer obsessed with validation. Every project, every idea you do posted instantly for feedback. When likes slowed, his work did too. I told him, create in private. Post when it's undeniable. He disappeared for 6 months. Then one morning, his new design went viral. Where did this come from, they asked. He smiled. From the silence you ignored. You've learned to stand alone without growing cold, reclaim peace under pressure, and turn quiet into momentum. Next, we go deeper, boundaries letting go, in the kind of calm that bends chaos. Stay with me. The second half is where the light gets real. Silence sharpens focus. Focus compounds results. Every time you resist the urge to prove, you build the muscle of certainty. Every time you skip the applause and choose the work, your energy grows heavier, not loud, but magnetic. Clamor seeks attention. Quiet seeks alignment. And alignment, over time, makes you unstoppable. So move quietly. Let them underestimate you. Let them forget your name. Because when your work finally speaks, it will sound like thunder from a sky they thought was empty. But what if strength isn't loud at all? What if it's the man who says nothing and still moves? Loud people make moments. Quiet people make movements. Now turn quiet principles into visible proof. Build in private tomorrow. 1 hour, phone off, one deliverable. A nurse on night shift wrote one line before each round. Steady voice, clean hands, clear eye. By sunrise, she didn't need the line. Her behavior had memorized it. Knowing is easy. Doing is rare. Most people collect wisdom like souvenirs. Beautiful, untouched, and useless. The Stoics didn't quote discipline. They practiced it. They didn't memorize courage. They moved through fear with steady breath. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily reminders not for inspiration, but for accountability. He knew untested philosophy is just decoration. A man once told me, I read Seneca every morning, but I still lose control at work. I said, then stop reading for comfort. Read for combat. The next day he tried something new. Before meetings, he wrote down one Stoic line and one action to match it. Speak less. Observe more. That day he caught himself 3 times before arguing. For the first time, he saw his philosophy working. Every insight you hold must pass through the furnace of behavior. You don't understand patience until you're tested by delay. You don't understand humility until you're praised unfairly. Theory lives in calm. Truth lives in chaos. So test your principles like athletes test muscles. If it breaks, good. Rebuild it stronger. If it holds, live it louder. Philosophy was never meant to be a shield. It's a sword, not for harming others, for cutting through illusion. And remember, real mastery doesn't post quotes. It becomes one. Don't talk about the path. Walk it until the dust on your feet becomes your proof. Philosophy stops being a quote and starts being your spine. If you can stay steady here when it's unfair, unplanned, and uncomfortable, your life will stop arguing and start answering. Proof is what you keep doing after the mood leaves. Breathe. This is where practice becomes patience. Waiting feels powerless, but it's one of the most powerful things you'll ever master. We live in a world that glorifies a sprint, quick answers, instant results, fast healing. But life isn't built on speed, it's built on rhythm. And rhythm takes trust. The Stoics called patience the discipline of strength, the courage to act fully, then surrender what's not yours to control. Because not everything that moves fast is progress, and not everything that's still is failure. A friend once planted a lemon tree and watered it every morning. For months, nothing. He cursed the soil, the season, even himself. Then one morning, a small green sprout broke through. He laughed. "I almost quit the day before it began." That's how most lives work. The breakthrough hides right after the breaking point. Faith isn't naive hope. It's intelligent waiting. It means doing what you can and then letting the unseen do what you can't. When the world is still, keep preparing. Clean your space. Read, train. You're not wasting time, you're building readiness. Fear drains energy because it rehearses disaster. Faith builds energy because it rehearses possibility. So when everything slows, hold your ground. The quiet season isn't punishment, it's alignment. And the moment you stop demanding results, life quietly starts rearranging them for you. Patience isn't pause, it's confidence that what's meant for you is still making its way. Sometimes that confidence looks like letting go. Letting go feels like death, because part of you does die. The version that believed things must go one way, stay one way, or mean one thing. But life keeps teaching the same truth in different forms. What refuses to evolve, dissolves. We cling to mums, people, and identities because control feels safer than surrender. But Jung said, life demands death after every stage. The death of illusions, of ego, of everything that blocks renewal. A man once told me, "I can't leave this job." "It's stable," I asked. "Stable for what? Your paycheck or your soul?" 3 months later, he left. The fear lasted a week. The freedom stayed for years. Not everything ends because it failed. Some things end because you have learned what you came to learn. Letting go isn't the act of weakness. It's the proof that you've grown stronger than what once held you. When something breaks, don't chase the shards. Step back and ask, what truth is this trying to show me? Maybe the silence that follows isn't punishment. It's space for rebirth. There's a stillness after surrender that feels unbearable at first, but that's only your soul adjusting to the light. Trust it. Let endings be sacred, because every release you resist delays the life trying to reach you. Letting go doesn't erase love. It honors what love already taught you. You're not losing yourself. You're returning to yourself. Return to yourself by moving with better timing, not greater speed. What did you have to release to become who you are now? You think you've healed, until life tests the same wound again. That's when real growth begins. Pack one goodbye, delete one chat thread, return one item, or unfollow one account tonight. If someone you love is in this season, share this with them. Don't let them walk it alone. Speed impresses crowds, but clarity builds empires. We rush because we think slowing down means falling behind. But Jung once wrote that hurry is not of the devil. It is the devil, because when you rush, you skip the soul of things. We've mistaken pace for progress. The truth is, slowness reveals mastery. When you slow down, you start hearing what the noise once hid. Your intuition. A craftsman in Kai's workshop told me once, I used to rush every project. But the more I hurried, the more I repeated mistakes. Now I pause before every cut. One breath, one check, one clean motion. His work doubled in quality. His mind halved its chaos. That's what slowing down really means. Not laziness, but presence. You notice the tiny detail that changes everything. A word unspoken, a glance misread, a moment of truth almost lost to distraction. Try this. Before you reply, wait 2 heartbeats. Before you decide, wait 1 night. That pause isn't delay. It's refinement, because what you build in calm lasts longer than what you chase in panic. And those who seem slow often move with perfect timing. They arrive right when the world is finally ready for what they carry. Slow isn't weak, it's strength with rhythm. And rhythm is exactly what keeps you steady when the world shakes. When chaos rises, calm becomes currency. Anyone can look wise when things go well. But true character appears when the ground shakes. The Stoics called it ataraxia, an unshakable calm earned through inner command. It's not emotionless, it's emotional mastery. Because if the storm outside controls your tone, your mind is already conquered. I once saw a man miss his flight. Everyone around him exploded in anger, shouting, pacing, demanding refunds. He sat down, smiled, and said, "Maybe the plane's not ready for me yet." 2 hours later, the flight was delayed for safety. His calm didn't change the world. It just stopped the world from changing him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That line isn't decoration, it's armor. Here's how to build it. When provoked, don't defend, observe. When criticized, don't explain, center. When uncertain, breathe once, act once. Every time you hold your composure, you train control. Every time you stay still when others scatter, your presence gains gravity. Calm isn't apathy, it's intelligence expressed as stillness. It's the art of being steady while the world trembles. Try this tomorrow. Before you speak, lower your shoulders. Before you decide, lower your tone. The quieter your energy, the clearer your impact. And when the world loses control, remember, panic multiplies problems. Composure multiplies solutions. The man who keeps his peace becomes the axis others revolve around. So stay grounded. Stay silent when rage tempts you. Not because you're weak, but because you're the storm's opposite. The eye that holds everything steady. Real power doesn't roar. It breathes slow while the world burns fast. Hold that power gently. Others will feel it before they hear it. That's how calm becomes contagious. You've walked through silence, rebuilt from dust, and found strength no one saw. But strength that hides too long becomes weight. It's time to let it shine, not to prove, but to remind. Jung believed that when a person makes peace with their darkness, they begin to radiate a quiet kind of light. Not a spotlight, a glow, the kind that makes others feel safe enough to heal. You don't guide people by teaching. You guide them by being, by how you pause before reacting, by how you listen when others only talk, by how you keep promises no one else tracks. A man once told me his younger brother started waking up early, no advice, no lecture, just from watching him meditate every dawn. That's how real influence works. Your calm becomes someone's courage. Your consistency becomes someone's compass. When you hold peace long enough, it starts to spread. Your restraint reminds others that self-control is still possible. Your steadiness gives people permission to slow down and trust again. And remember this, light doesn't fight darkness. It reveals it. You don't need to force anyone to see. You just need to stand there, clear enough for them to remember what clarity looks like. Lead softly, speak slowly, love steadily, not for applause, but because the world needs examples more than explanations. Take your steadiness into the room. Communities heal faster when one person stays calm. You don't have to lead loudly, just live so truthfully that others remember what peace feels like when they stand near you. And when they leave, let the peace stay. If you've made it here, you already know, no one's coming to save you. But maybe that's not tragedy. Maybe it's grace in disguise. Because the moment you stop waiting, you start becoming. Every quiet season, every test of endurance, every hour spent in solitude, they weren't punishment. They were preparation. Life wasn't breaking you down. It was refining you into someone who no longer needs rescuing. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime was to become who you truly are. The Stoics would nod, and to do so without bitterness. That's the intersection, where philosophy becomes healing. You've learned to walk through chaos and stay calm, to love deeply but never lose yourself, to let go, to slow down, to rise again. You've turned silence into stability, pain into practice, and solitude into wisdom. So look back one last time, not in regret, but in recognition. Everything that felt missing was actually making you. And everything that left you was only leaving space for what's real. Now, as you walk forward, remember, every calm breath you take, every small act done with integrity, every time you choose peace over reaction, you're building a world others will one day feel safe in. So keep walking, not to prove, not to impress, but to serve through your example, through your stillness, through your light, and share it, not to be needed, but to be useful. Thank you for walking this far with me, here on Move or Die Stoic, because this journey was never about escaping the dark. It's about becoming the kind of soul who can carry light through it and never lose the way again. Light doesn't announce itself, it simply stays. If this space steadies you, subscribe. Come back when the world gets loud.